and I'm supposed to capitalize countries or names of people, or I need to make a connection, like on the paper for Mia, as you saw her, she did that excerpt for Marte. So what I asked her is to maybe do a little background on Marty. Who is Marty? I know he went down in business, but she just put it like there, like really abruptly. So I say, why don't we say a little bit more about Marty? Put it in context, right? And why he is a good example of the businesses that are not making it in this economy and the reasons why. Okay? Moving from that to the weakest papers, like don't know what is Farrell, but Farrell, you know, he keeps like saying United States with lowercase, little things like that. And as I am reading with him, so I am sitting with each one of them and proofreading, and he's like, why do I need to proofread? I'm done. So as soon as he started seeing that in the first paragraph, we have like 3 corrections. Okay, when you have a period, you need to put 2 spaces after that. Little basic things like that, that to them don't seem important, right? We are going through it, and they are being, you know, they're establishing some, like I say, common denominator, that this is something that they do, as if they did it in the paper for history. Yes, they can do it on the paper for Spanish. The same guidelines, the same expectations are there for this paper. Oh, and I wanted some comments on the English and history, or about the my evaluation of this being one of the strongest papers, and maybe the couple of the back as the weakest examples of.
Yeah, I think that Mia did a good job. I definitely am happy that for all of the quotes except for the first one on the back page, she introduces them correctly, which is something that we worked on explicitly in my class. What I would say about hers is the organization of the ideas is like a little bit random. Like, for example, she says that more people want to push out the idea of these bodegas because they feel they take away from other small businesses. But then she uses evidence that talks about like the benefits of having a bodega in the community. So maybe I would just talk to her about like how that evidence that she's using isn't supporting this claim that she's making in the sentence before. But overall, I think that hers is definitely stronger. She uses evidence properly.
And she connects it. I love it when in the conclusion she connects it to her own bodega, in her neighborhood, and how they know her name. And they say hello or miss her when she's not around, and she knows every single person in the store now.
Yeah, I really hope that they're gonna have another stab at revising these. Maybe
oh yeah, that's why you see my notes in there, because
because I definitely think that Mia, if she were to properly format this and put it double spaced, and then she could definitely add to it. Like, she could get this to like 4 or 5 pages long.
And I have the same, I noticed the same thing that Jessica pointed out, but I also have a question. She has a point. I noticed that she made it personal by adding that little bit of detail to herself. So I'm wondering, and I noticed some of the other students just have to. So I'm wondering if this was something that was in a guideline for them, like an outline for them, or these other.
yes, what I did is not a guideline, but I did guiding questions.
Okay.
And I say your information should include this, first define what a bodega is, okay? Then establish the relationship between a bodega and other versions that mean a bodega. And now maybe they have a different name, like a corner store, a convenience store, right? Then establish the origin of the bodega, right? Yeah, it may be one culture, but how many other cultures are mimicking the same idea? Okay? How about, I said, the connotation about bodegas being not a good thing in the community, as some of the articles that I provided them will point out. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about a bodega being identified as a place that is in a low-income community only, and a source for crime attention, or right, or a place where crimes are committed. Well, how do you feel about that? Right, especially like Mia, when you have your bodega, she's like, I never seen anything bad happening over there. Whenever I need something, I go over there, I get what I need. I am greeted, by my first name, which I like. So she never witnessed any of the bad connotations of the other articles that they read. So that definitely was a nice contrast and a nice connection with their daily life, with something that they have experienced. Either they are experiencing or they experienced before. Like one of the students said that they moved away from a place that had a nice bodega, and now in the new place there was another version of a bodega that wasn't as good as the other one. Farel keeps focusing on how this bodega close to his house had sandwiches, and he keeps calling for the hot sandwiches, so he loves the hot sandwiches, right? So it was, I love the fact that they were able to connect it with their daily life, and Mia did that. Then the other ones, even if the guiding questions were there, and I emphasize how important it was, how does peace relate to you? How do you experience this in your own life? There's no thing just go mechanically and forget about that concluding piece. Have you experienced a bodega, right? Do you have one? Have you seen one using someone? And we know, being at the work, that all of our students have been exposed because there is one next door, and they go in there all the time.
So you wanted them to do like half research paper, half personal narrative?
Connecting it to their life, yes. Connecting the research to their experience, yes.
Right, but like formally as a kind of like when you describe it kind of like in the teaching terms, this was supposed to be a research, half of it was supposed to be research, and half of it was supposed to be a personal narrative.
More like a third, then the conclusion will be more like a personal, and maybe 2/3
Yeah,
research.
did they have that like explicitly stated, how much of, like, what are the percentages?
Yeah, like if the minimum is going to be, right, like a page and a half, right, one page will be the research and the half will be the connection to the personal experience.
So, and as students you said you're going to provide them a resource guide for how to cite sources, did you say?
Yeah, I already started.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
cool, yeah, because he was even noting like Connor's on page 18, like, I don't know if it was Mr. Hill's class or if it was either or Jessica's class or Colleen's, but like even how to cite sources.
Are you saying explicitly that the sources need to be cited in MLA format?
That's exactly the term they came up with. Yeah, MLA, like we did in such and such a class.
Because if you
that term came up.
because they're doing MLA in my class, they're doing MLA in Colleen's class. So if you say like the sources, you can't just put the link there, you need to do it in MLA format.
Yeah.
They know what that means.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do, and that's what I was saying, the common denominator popped up right in class. It came right from them. Yes, use MLA just like we did in such and such a class, and they, in the whole moment, but I had to push for that during class today. I had to do it like a whole class because I was doing individually. And then when I saw that it was across the board, I said, no, yeah, we're doing the same. We're mimicking a lot of the steps that you took on the other class during your capstone. We're gonna take here. Even if it's Spanish, it's the same format. You're doing research, right? And the only piece that I ask you to do is related to your personal experience with bodegas.
Yeah.
That's the only part that is unique to our class.
Yeah,
Right.
I would also maybe recommend just like, I'm sure you have done this, but it's probably worth repeating, like, till you are done with the project, that they need to include quotes in their, like, in their research, and that they need to introduce them and cite them properly. They did that whole, like, that was my whole lesson that we did in my class that I brought here, and Colleen does lessons with them on that. We've been doing lessons with them since like September, how to introduce and cite quotes, and I'm just like not seeing a lot of quotes in here.
But even if they're not direct quotes.
Right.
If they're paraphrasing them, they still need to do the in-text citation with either the source or the author's name, or it needs to be something to show that.
Yeah, that's why I move in that direction
Maybe
today,
even-
because I saw the lack of that, and I think we need it. Or, one of the students, I keep the articles around the room, the articles that I provided them with. I gave them like 12 different articles, although I encouraged them to look for their own. So one of the students, okay, Miss Cardona, she grabs 3 articles, and she starts listing them as sources. And I say, are those the articles you use? Can I find any quotes from that article there? No. I say, well, that's the whole point. If you list it as a source, it's because you used it in your paper.
Mhm.
So, and then no, they're in a disconnect. Jaylani was like, oh, but I only interviewed my grandmother, that's one source, and I say a minimum of 3 sources, right? So that's one source, and then you need to make the connections between the interview that you did to your grandmother to formal researches that are here or that you look up on the computer. Yeah, because they just want to be done. They don't want to be pushed, but as you can see, I continue to do this, and some of them are getting to a more final, nice paper like Mia, like Connor, Tamiko. I didn't include Tamiko's. It's another great, because I say, well, how many am I going to include? The poor people are going to be tired, but yeah, I have a few strong cases.
I think that it might be useful to, like, make copies of Connor's or Tamiko's, or even like, yeah, I think Connor's or Tamiko's or any other student that like is kind of getting to where you want everybody to be and like showing the other students, this is the expectation, this is